Welcome back to Tu-Vie, your TV movie entertainment needs channel, and we are doing our first review in I think a year or something. It's been some time. It's been a long, long time. So without further ado, let's get into it. So it has almost been a week since the SNL Saturday Night movie was released, and I wanted people to have a chance to go see it before posting a review. But I saw it like the Saturday after it came out. So I saw Saturday Night on Saturday, almost the 50 years after it started, and it was really, really good. And the movie starts not kind of like in a slow pace. You really are dropped into it, and you're playing catch up. And what the movie does also really, really good at is keeping the camera flowing at a really, really good pace where the camera feels like it's another character being involved in the mess of this very first night with everything going wrong and the script not being finished and everything. And it just was chaotic. Gabriel LaBelle playing Lauren Michaels, who did a really good job. And I'm just going to get it out of the way. Everybody in the cast did a really, really good job. I mean, a really good job. There was a point where I didn't feel like everybody had enough time. Like if the movie was a little longer than the close to the 150-minute mark, it just like felt like it would have been a perfect movie if everybody got a little more time because everybody was doing such a great job. But Gabriel LaBelle as Lauren Michaels was a really, really like stellar act in this movie because he portrayed the anxiety that Lauren had to hide, but still also the confidence he felt in the show and the direction that he wanted everyone to have was really, really well done. But my personal favorite of it was Dylan O'Brien as Dan Aykroyd, and I thought he did a really good job with the impression, and it just felt like the character, like it just felt like Dylan O'Brien really was Dan Aykroyd. Like if that makes it like it's like he was possessed by Dan Aykroyd. But I think the most notable one is Matt Wood as John Belushi because he looks like John Belushi come back to life. I mean, whoa. Another actor I thought did a really good job in this movie was Lamorne Morris. I think he was great in this movie. He had some of the best comedic timing. He did a great job representing this artist and the complexities that he kind of felt during this time. And I also just thought that he had some of the best comedic time in the whole movie. I was rolling on the floor in his delivery. I just think from start to finish, Lamorne was fantastic. As I'm just kind of rattling off people I really did enjoy, the big thing about the cast is that the ensemble, both on SNL and the actual cast itself, really played well with each other. They had great chemistry, and not only did Dan Aykroyd or Matt Wood and everybody else look like their counterparts, it really felt like they were being the counterparts. They did a lot of research on these characters, and it felt like you were transported back in time. And maybe not everyone knows what these characters look like or have kind of seen the movie yet, so I'm just going to do side by side comparisons with the cast. So here we go. Like I said before, Gabriel LaBelle was Lauren Michaels, Rachel Sennott was Rosie Shuster. She also was a great part of this movie. I just wish we had more time because I think Rachel is a fantastic act, but also just more importantly, the chemistry between Gabriel and Rachel was really, really, really good. And I just, like I said, wish we could see more. Corey Michael Smith as Chevy Chase, Ella Hunt as Gilda Radner, Dylan O'Brien as Dan Aykroyd, Emily Farron as Lorraine Newman, Matt Wood as John Belushi, Lamorne Morris as Garrett Morris, Kim Matula as Jane Curtin, Nicholas Braun as Andy Kaufman, and Jim Henson. I feel like a lot of people know that Muppets, I think we're only on just the first season alone of SNL. Like I don't think Kermit made it there, but the Henson Muppets made it to SNL. Andrew Barth Feldman as Neil Levy, and last but certainly not least, Cooper Hoffman as Dick Ebersol. Cooper, you've probably seen recently in a movie called Licorice Pizza. I know he's kind of I wouldn't say a new act, but he's definitely coming up. And the thing about my viewing of this movie with Cooper was that during the watch, his interaction with Lauren Michaels and everybody else, but the way he was presenting himself on screen kept reminding me of Philip Seymour Hoffman. Like the entire time he's on screen, I'm like, dang, this guy's giving a Hoffman level performance. And his phrasing and his tempo and timing on things it just kept giving off that Philip Seymour Hoffman vibe. I'm like, dang, this kid could possibly be the next Philip Seymour Hoffman. And then during the credits, when I see his last name, it just kind of like for some reason clicked, and I Googled him, and apparently his dad was Philip Seymour Hoffman, and he looks just like his dad. And I now being in the future know that, but in the past, totally lost. And blown away. I could go on and on about the cast and everybody just being stellar, but I'm going to move on from there. Like I said before, the movie does a really good job of just plopping you into the madness of the first night of SNL with the scripts not being done, the set falling apart, the whole cast, lighting, backstage, everybody just not getting along, and everything being so anxiety driven. Like the whole time you're watching, you feel like you're holding your breath. And even the threats from the studio executives with Willem Dafoe and just Lorne Michaels and him butting heads was was really cool to see because it felt like you can feel the passion that Lauren had for SNL and not a clear way to convince everybody, like the whole United States, but mainly the people running it, how it works. And the whole time you're watching this, you're seeing him like piece things together, and it's really, really brilliantly done because they do it in kind of unique increments. I'm not going to spoil, how it's done, but there are like moments where stuff happens, you kind of catch your breath a bit, but then you're right back in it. You're just going and going and going and going. And the juggling act between the cast, contracts, the sets, the executives, the timing, the scripts, everything, the juggling act. And like I said, how the camera feels like a character just being dragged along with it was really cool. Jason Reitman did a really, really good job because this movie felt fresh, but in something that didn't feel new. Like everyone knows about true story movies and those kind of things, but this one felt rather unique in how it was done because while Lorne Michaels was our main character and we got to see how he was handling SNL, there were moments where we I guess got a peek into what it was like being on that set, whether you're working with the people actually building like the brick walk up or the studio executives and how, like just rerunning an old TV show is more likely going to make a money than how this show works. And Lorne Michaels and his own, trust in this was really, really, really unique. And I felt like this felt different than past true story anxiety, running against the clock kind of movies have been. Gabriel did a really good job of I wouldn't say switching characters, but the way he was able to, I guess, for lack of a better word, switch characters when he was talking to the executives and then the cast and then talking to Cooper Hoffman and then just the way his dynamic and his tone, his tempo would quickly change, just like was really, really cool. And I thought that kind of well represented how Lauren had to keep a still, calm head and handle everything at once. It was also interesting how we also got a little bit of insight into, I don't know how accurate, but what led to some real life events like, Chevy Chase wanting to go for Carson, which I think, if my memory serves me right, it probably won't. I think he did Carson's job for a day, like maybe a week. But the whole thing was that like Chevy got in his head about becoming like one of the next best late night show hosts. And it was all because, at least in this movie, that the executive was like, you could be the next, you could just be the next big thing. But the thing is that the idea was planted in his head. And from there, since he's being, egotistical and still is, it then pushes him to become almost like a different being throughout, the only season he was on SNL and the trajectory of his life. Or even how they came up with the format of the show. Like I said, they were, trying to figure out how the script works, but, going from 4 musical acts to 2 and, a certain amount of sketches and having almost, I think it was Billy Crystal be a part of the show was crazy to me because I don't know if that is true, but if it is, almost having Billy Crystal be a part of that whole dynamic and that cast is crazy to me. And certain meanings behind why the setup is set up the way it is, like the brick walk up and the way the show's formatted, to kind of feel like a night in the city. And I don't know, everything about this movie just felt fresh, even though it was done so, simply. Not to say that that's a bad thing. Sometimes simple is the best way to do it. But the writing, the pacing, the camera work was just so good. There were so many times where it felt like everything was a one shot, And if you followed here long enough, I'm a big, big fan of one shots. But having the camera act as an extension of both every character and almost being a separate character felt really cool. I also kind of liked how, or at least I think I noticed it, the film itself had almost like a grainy texture to it, almost like it was an old film reel. kind of just more adding to the setting of the environment in New York City's nightlife, and just everything about it felt like you were transported back in time. Could not recommend this movie more to anyone else. I mean, really, this movie, simple yet fresh, exciting, and a little unpredictable at times because, this movie's all about everything not working. So kind of having it all pieced together is really cool to see. And that's truly my only complaint, is that it kind of was just pieced together at the end. Like it felt earned, but at the same time rushed. That's kind of the only complaint I have, is everything felt rushed because I think they wanted to keep to that 90 minutes to air timeline, which is not a bad idea. I think that is a really cool idea. But the thing I think is what makes it, I say a negative, is because I just wanted more. Like I wanted more of these characters. I wanted more time with these characters. I wanted more investment. Again, great movie. Everybody just did such a good job. I didn't want it to end. So, I mean, I think if the only complaint I had is that it was too short, but accurately kept to that 90 minutes because everybody was doing so good, I truly think it's a movie everybody could watch and really enjoy it. As of right now, I think the best 3 Jason Reitman movies, in no particular order, is this movie, Juno, and really tied for third with Up in the Air, Ghostbusters. It might be his best movie. I'm gonna have to really sit with this one. This movie was a lot of fun. Please don't miss out the chance to go see it in theaters. I think the environment of the movie theater, getting to watch it there was kind of an added plus. That about wrap up that we haven't really done a review in a while, and I wanted this one to be the first of definitely many coming soon. As of this recording, I'm going to be going to see Piece by Piece. So that's going to be this newest one coming real soon. So be sure to stick around by subscribing and check out past episodes of the Tu-Vie podcast. We just posted one with Cameron, who has been on the podcast in a bit. We played catch up, kind of just going through the stuff that's been going on the week. We also did a Hollywood 2024 ranking. We have a Disney Infinity episode that I just love so much. We have a lot of fun stuff. And our Halloween episode is coming real soon. So be sure you are subscribing there and following us on Spotify. Check out past episodes that are not on here over there. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.